So why would I want to use an 11mm 1.8 Sony APS-C lens on my full frame Sony ZV E1 when there's all this crazy vignetting going on? Well, one click of a button and we're back. Vignetting gone in just one click of a button. So now I'm going to tell you why I really enjoy using this video and camera setup. I've got the Sony ZV E1, the Sony 11mm 1.8 APS-C lens, and I also have it balanced on the DJI RS3 mini gimbal. So let's get into why I really enjoy using this setup for shooting real estate video. Let's go. So here it is, the Sony ZV E1 with the Sony 11mm 1.8 APS-C lens and the DJI RS3 mini gimbal. As you can see, it's really small, lightweight setup. And if you watched any of my other videos on here, you'll know that that's something I really value, because I used to shoot with the camera that's filming me now, the Sony a7 III with the Sigma 14-24mm lens on the Ronin S gimbal. And that used to be a really heavy setup. And after about an hour of shooting, my arm would be really hurting. But with this, I can do reps with this all day long. It is so light and so small, I love shooting with it. But let's get into some of the detail now. So the ZV E1 comes with the same sensor as the FX3 or the Sony a7S III, and it's basically an amazing sensor. It's got 15 stops of dynamic range and it's great in low light. So you want to be shooting an S-Log3 really to make the most of that dynamic range. If you shot real estate before, you'll know that both of those things you really need because you're often shooting some pretty poor lighting situations. And then paired with this little lens here, like I say, it's super lightweight, you're getting a really wide field of view. Even though you're cropping in, say it's 11mm lens, but once you've cropped in, you have to crop in 1.5, or you can do 1.4, but I prefer 1.5 just to make sure you don't get any vignetting. That means you're getting the equivalent of a 16.5mm lens, which is plenty wide enough for shooting real estate with. One thing I thought I'd just note, which I thought was worth adding, as I'm sure some of you are asking, is that why don't you just get a 16mm full frame lens? Well, that's a good question, but it's because, well, they're more expensive and they're a lot bigger and heavier. And as I've just mentioned, I like a small, lightweight setup. And a lot of these full frame 16mm lens or wider are a lot bigger and a lot heavier, and I like that lightweight setup. One lens I would like to try though is a 16mm Viltrox lens. So if any of you out there have tried it, leave your comments below, let me know how you got on with it, and maybe I'll get it soon and leave a review of that. So back to the video. And although we've zoomed in 1.5 times, there really isn't any loss in image quality, because I'm sure probably some of you are thinking, well, if you're zooming in on that full frame lens, then you're going to lose some image quality. Well, Sony have got this amazing feature called Clear Image Zoom, which is what I use. And there's this little button on the back here, which is actually already set up, which does a step zoom in for you. So if you click it once, it automatically zooms in 1.5 times, which is what I did at the start of the video. And that gives you that jump into the 16.5mm, which is great for shooting real estate with. And like I say, there really isn't any image quality loss. Not that I can see anyway. I guess if you really pixel peeped, maybe there's something, but when you're shooting really wide, then you can't see anything. And to be honest, most of the time, all these real estate videos are viewed on people's phones, iPads, or maybe biggest laptop screen. You're really not going to see any difference. So the width this gives you at 16.5mm when you're zoomed in is absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to show you some clips now. And you can see here that the quality is absolutely brilliant. It's wide enough here. And also you'll see that there's some nice starburst shots I've got here. So this camera and lens combo deals really well with those high dynamic range situations, the bright lights and the dark interiors, so you can shoot at a good mid-level and not have to blow out the windows too much, and then the interiors aren't too dark. So it really does give you a great combination to shoot with. And so if you are in the market for getting a video setup for shooting real estate with, I would take a look at this, because as well as it being really good quality and also really small and lightweight, it does come in at a lower price than if you were to get the FX3 or A7S III. Because this body here, the ZV E1, I picked up for, actually I think it was about £1,700, so probably about $2,000. So if you shop around, you can get those prices. The lens I got for £450, so about $500 probably. And this gimbal was about £440, so again, probably about $500. So in all, I'm getting this set up for about £2,500. So you can get it for about $3,000 probably. If you're looking at the FX3 and maybe full frame lenses, then you're easily looking up to about £5,000 or $5,000. So it's a really good setup. Although that does sound quite expensive to some, then it is quite, well, £2,000 is definitely worth the saving, I think. One last thing I forgot to mention was about the gimbal, the DJI RS3 Mini. The reason I chose this is because obviously it's small and lightweight and takes the weight of my camera just fine, but also it's got a Bluetooth shutter function, which means no wires. So once you've paired it once, it pairs again, just turn it on and you're ready to go and shoot wire-free. And if you want to watch a more detailed video about why I chose the Sony ZV E1, where I go into much more detail about its features, you can watch this video here. But in the meantime, thanks for watching guys, and happy shooting.